You know, the last WWF pay-per-view from about 21 years ago led to what has been called infamously the plane ride from hell. Now, numerous incidents occurred in the flight back from UK after the British pay-per-view event Insurrection 2002. Now, 2 weeks later, WWE was changed over to WWF. On the now infamous flight, there was a number of incidents involving WWE management and wrestlers that were later attributed to the heavy drinking on the flight, partially because the flight was delayed for an hour before takeoff. Now, among the incidents, including the late Curt Hennig goading Brock Lesnar into a mid-fight wrestling match after ribbing him about who was a better wrestler. Now, several others on the flight, including Dave Finlay, Triple H, and Paul Heyman, had to separate the pair. Now, the wrestling was tame compared to some of the antics on the flight. Dustin Rhodes, was allegedly associating his ex-wife Terry Runnels on the mic until being told to stop by WWE Vice President of Talent Relations, Jim Ross. Now, Road agent Michael Hayes was involved in a physical incident with Bradshaw after heavy drinking, allegedly punching him. Hayes' actions led to someone later confirmed to be Sean Walkman, or X-Pac, cutting off his mullet while he was sleeping. The consensus at the time was that Hayes deserved this for his part in starting the exit incident with Bradshaw. Now, basically, this is a more generalized version that is talked about Dark Side of the Ring, which covered the incident in the September 2021 documentary through Vice. Now, during the flight back to the States, the Boeing 757 plane that was chartered included an open bar, and many of the wrestlers indulged. This led to many incidents, including physical altercations and the sexual harassment of two female flight attendants, Tara Lynn Capilano and Heidi Doyle. Scott Hall, who was re-signed with the company, had a history of alcoholism. Although he did not have a match in a pay-per-view, he did interfere in the match, and he did perform at the house shows during this UK tour. In addition to pranking other wrestlers with shaving cream, he said sexually vulgar things to Doyle before passing out. Now, Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig, known for being a prankster, also pranked wrestlers with the shaving cream, including Lesnar, which resulted in that short fight between the two that almost did a Maurice Mad Dog Vachon to cause them to accidentally open the plane's emergency exit. Goldust, again, Dustin Runnels, said vulgar things to Capilano and later got on the PA system and started to sing a serenade for his ex-wife and fellow wrestler Terry Runnels, who was also on the flight. Additionally, and this has been confirmed, Ric Flair exposed himself, and I'm not talking emotionally, to both flight attendants and allegedly grabbed their hands and had them both touch his genitalia. Flair has since denied the accusations. Both Hall and Hennig were fired following the event, while Goldust and Flair were also reprimanded by the company. A 2004 lawsuit was filed by both Capilano and Doyle, although WWE settled out of court with both women. Now, please check Vice's Dark Side of the Ring for a more expanded version, but as we say in the old business, if you're on a plane with a bunch of wrestlers, like Maurice Mad Dog Vachon, allegedly, he was given a Quaalude and then given uppers later on, allegedly, supposedly, and he thought it was a good time for a walk. He literally opened the door to the plane that we're on. Now, this was the Vern Gagne AWA 1980s, tours stuff. Mad Dog would normally do that, but this was even worse because it was a lot of egotistical wrestlers on a flight, a lot of problems. And what was kind of weird here, nobody remembers the pay-per-view, but they remember the plane ride from hell. For those of you who want to get the results from the pay-per-view, again, Mr. Perfect defeated Goldust, Rob Van Dam defeated Eddie Guerrero via DQ, Trish Stratus and Jacqueline bet Molly Holly and Jazz, X-Pac defeated Bradshaw, Booker T defeated Stevie Richards, the Hardy Boys defeated Brock Lesnar and Shawn Stasiak, Spike Dudley defeated William Regal in a singles match for the European title. By the way, Booker T and Stevie Richards was for the Hardcore Championship. Rob Van Dam defended his title successfully in the Intercontinental. Stone Cold Austin defeated Big Show, and Triple H defeated The Undertaker. Now, Ric Flair was a special guest in the Stone Cold match, by the way. So, ladies and gentlemen, Strange Bedfolds and Wrestling, have a good WrestleMania weekend. If you like what we're doing here with our Vintage Wrestling podcast, give us a like, comment, subscribe, share, or super chat. Thanks for listening. Happy days.